Does it take something different to innovate on a global scale? How does one do that?
It does indeed. Innovation on a global scale requires understanding consumers on the front lines. And so I'm reminded of Mr. and Mrs. Feng. They were a couple in an auto dealership that I saw a year ago in Chongqing, which is a giant city in the southwest of China. If you think about the scale of Chinese cities, if you count the urban area, Chongqing is about 30 million. So it's bigger than the New York metropolitan area, and yet many people in our country couldn't find it on a map. So what's interesting about Chongqing is, in contrast to Shanghai or Beijing, which are closer to the coast, which are much more polished, are much wealthier, in Chongqing, you still have this tremendous spectacle of the countryside pouring into the city. So China's got about 10 million people moving from the countryside to the city each year.
Wow.
And they're going into these urban areas. China now has about 160 cities, or will soon have 160 cities with more than 1 million population.
Wow.
In the US, we have 9. So there's this astonishing move from the country to the city, which is happening each day. So going back to this dealership, that day I watched Mr. and Mrs. Feng get their new car. They were, as many Chinese do, brought cash to the dealership because 2/3 of people buy their cars in cash. The car is decked out in red ribbons. Red's the color of celebration. Confetti poppers were blown off. It's a big deal because they're the first in their entire extended family to own any kind of automobile.
Wow.
So it's a life-changing event for them. And they didn't say so much, but you could see in their faces that they were just immensely and intensely proud for themselves and their whole extended family, who probably helped them buy the car and were consulted on the type of vehicle and so forth. And this was a day that they officially entered the middle class. And what I realized watching that was, there's no way that we can alter this or stop this. It's a wonderful thing for them and for many of their compatriots who are going through this, whether it's in Africa or Latin America or India or China, as this example happens to be. But we can participate. We can ensure that if we understand their needs, we can make sure that they have a safe vehicle, something that's good quality, good value, that gives them the kind of look and feel that they want. And is something that they can drive their family and their children around with pride and a sense of confidence. So to really participate in a market, we need to know, what is it that Mr. and Mrs. Feng, what are their ambitions in life? What do they want? What can they afford to pay for? And how can we provide that to them in a way that they'll see the value of it and we can make money on it? And that's the equation in market after market around the world.